It's obviously an emotional time for the family, seeing the defendant for the first time. This is the beginning of the criminal justice system, and the family will be here for the long haul.
Well, that is the lawyer for the family of one of 4 college students murdered in the moments before the suspect went before a judge in Idaho for the first time. Brian Kohberger is accused of killing Kaylee Gonzalez and 3 other students at the University of Idaho in November. Good evening. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. Kohberger arrived back in Idaho last night after his arrest in Pennsylvania. During his brief court appearance today, he only said yes when the judge asked him if he understood the charges against him.
You also have the right to appeal any conviction in your case. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
The judge denied bail and ordered him to have no contact with the families of the victims.
An equally significant development today. Newly released court documents reveal how investigators zeroed in on Kohberger. They include the chilling detail that one of the surviving roommates told police she came face to face with the killer in the moments after her friends were murdered.
Kylie Boshi went through the court documents today, and Kyle, it appears Kohberger became a suspect not too long after the murders.
2 big clues came from DNA found at the scene and cameras that captured a white Hyundai speeding away from the scene after the murders. While investigators had plenty of circumstantial evidence, it wasn't until the DNA matched that they moved in to arrest Kohberger.
DNA was the final link to Brian Kohberger. According to the probable cause affidavit, officers found a leather sheath next to 2 of the victims who'd been stabbed to death. On December 27th, officers in Pennsylvania went through the trash at Kohberger's parents' house, and it matched the DNA on the sheath. There was also the white Hyundai that was immediately a clue. Court documents show neighborhood cameras spotted the car moments before the murders and then captured it speeding away. Investigators detail how multiple cameras pinpoint Kohberger driving back to the Washington State University campus where he lived. He was a PhD student studying criminal justice. 4 people died inside the house in Moscow, but 2 roommates were also there when the murders happened around 4:15 in the morning. One of the roommates described how she opened her door when she thought she heard crying. Then she says she heard a man's voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." When she opened her door again, that's when the killer walked right past her. She told officers he was wearing black clothing and a mask. She says she froze, then locked herself in a room.
The big question that remains, why? So far, investigators haven't released a motive for the killings. Court documents don't explain a connection between the victims and Kohberger, but it appears he was targeting their house. Authorities were able to use cell phone data to determine that he was near the home at least 12 times before the murders. On all but one of those occasions, it was late at night or in the early morning hours.
It just sends chills up your spine. It really does. Thank you, Kyle. And now for an update to that disturbing attack at a Max stop in Gresham. KGW has learned the identity of the victim. His name is Gary Wayne Crusoe.
Mike Benner's in the newsroom tonight. Mike, it bears warning our viewers again. The details here are extremely distressing. Any update on how the victim is doing?
Yeah, David, at last check, Gary Crusoe was in stable condition and should be okay, and that, of course, is good news. We're also learning about Crusoe's past. It was troubled and involved drugs and prison time. We're sharing this information because it might explain why Crusoe was at a Max stop in the middle of the night when trains were not running.
I'm really shocked and surprised.
David Woodard is in disbelief that a man he shared a house with up until late last year was the victim of a vicious attack.
You know, I'm so sorry for Gary, and I'd hate to have that to happen to anybody.
Court documents identify 78-year-old Gary Wayne Crusoe as the man assaulted by 25-year-old Corn Kramer early Tuesday morning. It happened at the Cleveland Avenue Max stop in Gresham. Police say Kramer, who was high and drunk at the time, thought Crusoe was a robot, and he chewed off his ear and part of his face.
Oh, that's horrifying. I'm so sorry for Gary. You know, nothing should happen like that.
Woodard suspects Crusoe was at the Max stop at 2 a.m. because he had recently been evicted from this Hillsborough house. Crusoe had been living here after serving prison time for sex crimes involving a child. Woodard says Crusoe's troubled past didn't end there. He also battled addiction.
Are we talking booze? Are we talking hard drugs?
Methamphetamines.
On Wednesday, Crusoe's accused attacker was in court, where he pleaded not guilty to what appears to be an attack fueled by drugs.
It's everywhere, and it just needs to be cleaned up. I'm so sorry for Gary for that ever happening.
Again, the suspect in this case is Korn Kramer. He is currently being held behind bars without bail. He was supposed to be in court today for what's called a preventative detention hearing, but it was pushed back to next week. At this hearing, prosecutors will argue that Kramer remained jailed through his trial. Laurel.
Thank you, Mike. Earlier today in Forest Grove, a woman who was pushing a child in a stroller was hit by a vehicle. That woman and child have both been taken to the hospital, and Forest Grove police say their injuries are serious. The crash happened near the intersection of 19th Avenue and Hawthorne Street shortly before 7 this morning. The driver is cooperating with investigators. At this point, we don't know why the crash happened.
Over the last year or so, we've been reporting on a huge surge in shoplifting in retail stores across the Portland metro area. In many cases, folks just walk right out the door with whatever they want in plain view, and nothing or nobody stops them. Let's bring in Tim Gordon now in Southwest Portland. Tim, looks like one supermarket is trying a new tactic here. What are they changing?
Yeah, David, well, it's something that we noticed at this downtown Safeway store. Inside there, it's a new checkout area for certain items that is separate and farther away from the front doors. Now, this is what it looks like inside the store. They're still working on it, but it appears to this is a more secure area, and it's stocked with items that are high on shoplifters' lists that are easy to sell on the black market. Now, you have to pay cashiers for those items there before you can move on. So we did a little looking around and found the same thing at the Safeway store in the Pearl. Now, Safeway Corporate's not talking specifics about this, but a store employee did tell us it's meant to make it harder for thieves to get away with stuff. Security may have a better chance to get the products out of their hands of shoplifters because the front doors are farther away. But a security expert that we talked with says the best way to stop this shoplifting epidemic is to detain, arrest, and prosecute repeat offenders.
The retail environment needs to stop trying to think outside of the box and go back to the basics of the existing laws in the state of Oregon. And I'm telling you, the more these people start getting felony convictions, the more they're going to stop shoplifting.
Now, Safeway did send us a one-line response reading, like other local businesses, we're working on ways to curtail escalating theft to ensure the safety of our employees and foster a welcoming environment for our loyal customers. But you can come in and see for yourself this new security effort they hope will stop some theft, but it will also require you to check out more than once, like twice, at the secure area and the rest of the store if you hit both of them. Guys, back to you.
That might be hard to get used to, too. Thank you, Tim. And it's not just store thefts, but the number of reported burglaries shot up 21% last year from 2021. And police say, again, it's staffing issues that are preventing them from responding to every call. Brian Clerkley joins us now. And Brian, you've been looking at the numbers for us.
Yes, Laurel, last month's stats aren't in yet, so we have to look at November 2021 to this past November. There were almost 6,500 burglaries throughout the city of Portland. That's about 1,000 more than the year before. And those hit by it say it's been really hard.
They take anything that's not nailed down, anything that they can trade, anything of value, anything that that's tangible, that they can turn into dollars right away.
Ryan Rollins owns the popular eatery PDX Sliders. He has a location on Southeast Division and this one in the Selwood Moreland neighborhood. Both restaurants were burglarized a couple months ago. This security footage shows the guy in the office where a safe was stolen along with iPads. A $10,000 loss. He's not surprised to hear about Portland's dismal crime increase.
We've toyed with sharing community security between the businesses and have them patrolling the block, so that's something we're looking into just as a deterrent.
According to Portland police crime statistics, from November of 2020 to November of 2021, there were 5,436 reported burglaries citywide. That number jumped to 6,492 from November 2021 to November of 2022. Portland police say they are well aware of this 21% increase and would like to be able to respond to all of the burglary calls. But staffing and an increase in violent crimes are an issue.
anytime we're trying to make a decision about what calls we prioritize, we're always going to come down on calls that involve life safety, that involve person crimes. We do consider those to be the most serious.
Sergeant Kevin Allen with Portland Police says burglaries can be hard to stop, but he does have some advice.
Make your business less attractive to a burglar. Those expensive items, maybe put them in the back or lock them up or put them in a closet somewhere where it's not quite so easy to get to them. Security cameras, they do help with investigations.
Sergeant Allen says it's hard to say what's behind the increase in burglaries. Rollins says he understands all that police are dealing with.
For a lot of small businesses, it's becoming a burden, and one that hopefully gets fixed sooner than later. Although everyone, even the police department's kind of strapped for employees too. So what can you do?
And Sergeant Allen says staffing issues are being addressed. They've hired over 100 new officers in the past year, and there's 100 people in training right now to become officers. David?
Thank you, Brian. All right, the alleged arsonist accused of setting fire to a historic downtown Portland church made her first court appearance this afternoon. Nicolette Fay is charged with both arson and burglary and will remain in jail until her next hearing. The district attorney's office says she admitted to using a lighter to set the fire and said voices in her head told her to do it. The church, which had been vacant for a while, was built in 1905 at Southwest 10th and Clay and was the former home of the Portland Korean Church. It was supposed to be torn down this morning. We've now learned demolition will begin tomorrow morning.